Hello and welcome to I Want to Grow. And as I say every single week, I'm like a broken record, okay? But everybody wants to grow. But with our guests, it's a little bit different. It's not about their growth. It's about them helping others grow. And I am super lucky. I'm sorry it's taken this long. Asmaa.
It's okay.
Thank you so much for coming on the podcast and going to be sharing your story with us today.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, Steve. I'm really, really happy to be here.
You are some superstar within this ecosystem.
Thank you
when
so
I say
much.
that, which ecosystem are you in? You're everywhere.
I'm
You're everywhere. And you've got so many messages that you're giving, but please tell everybody about yourself.
My name is Asmaa Al-Kuwari. I'm an executive and life coach. I'm a digital humanist. I'm an entrepreneur. And I am a person that likes to help people get to what they want.
You really do.
Yeah, I hope I do.
But I haven't got arms big enough to say what that incorporates,
It does incorporate a lot. It does incorporate a lot.
So how do you kind of, and I'm going to go back into your story, but how do you kind of, what's your biggest skill?
My biggest skill is helping you understand your potential and unlock it.
That's not easy.
It's not.
What's one of you? I wanted.
That's why it's a skill.
A part of me wanted you to say, "I'm so good at empathy."
Well, I am. It helps to unlock that potential. So I think communication and connecting with people, having that rapport and that trust makes people trust me to help them to get to where they want. And I think that's probably one of the biggest skills. A lot of people could come and say, it's so easy to talk to you, or you feel like you open so many doors that I wouldn't have opened with others. And I feel that's a privilege for me to be able to help someone understand their thoughts and what's going on in their mind, to be able to process all of this and get the most out of it.
When did you realize that you had this gift?
Oh, that's a good question. I think I kind of had it before, and it came with something that didn't work out for me when I was young. So we used to live in the United States when I was young, so for the first 10 years of my life. And when we came back here in Doha, I kind of closed on myself. So I started observing everything that's around me. And I think observing and understanding people and their reactions and how they behave kind of gave me a sense of understanding their personality and understanding what's their strengths and where they're trying to hide and looking beyond what they're thinking. And I think that gave me kind of like an edge and advantage to be able to sit silent and just let people be, in a sense. And the more I grew up, the more I understood myself from all of that silence, the more I was then able to open and find myself within the balance of having the first 10 years outside and then finding having the culture clash when I came here and then trying to find myself and identify myself all over again. So going through that process kind of helped me. And the more I was able to listen to people, the more I was able to help them, because sometimes it's not just about listening, it's about what they're not saying and what they're projecting within their body, their voice, where they're looking. And I think all of that helped me to kind of lead my way to coaching, and I'm very blessed for that, honestly.
Now I'm so self-conscious.
No, don't be, please.
No, I'm thinking, oh my, where do I look? Where? You're exceptional at your job, and those stories, and I'm so glad that we did speak about empathy, because empathy and knowing your surroundings is just knowing what they're saying to you.
Oh, definitely.
Because they could be saying one thing with a bright smile, but they mean totally the opposite.
100%. And I think when you say, like, words come out, but the words are not the full message. If you're going to talk about the message that's coming out, you have to look into the eye contact. You have to look into the body language, the tone of voice. Sometimes you can hear the breathing, if they're breathing very fast or very slow.
And you can, right? And you can feel the nervousness in their voice.
Oh, definitely. I think this is kind of a talent that needs to come with coaching, because you're not just coaching what's being said to you. You're coaching what's going on in their mind. So my role would be to help you understand yourself. Me as a coach, I don't have to know everything that happened to you. It's important for you to become aware of what happened to you and get the most out of it, to understand yourself and help you take the action to reach your goals.
This conversation is flying already, because this is what the podcast is. It's about the story, right? It's about the journey, and with our guests, a lot of our guests, they realize the journey they've been on, and they kind of regress to the not so nice things.
Yeah.
And then they realize where they are today. and they realize that that was just part of the tapestry, the journey.
Definitely.
And that's what makes us, really. That's what makes us. And it's good to have people like you to be able to get people to realize that they can do whatever they want to do.
Yes.
You're into this empowering woman movement.
Yeah. A lot of people don't like me for that.
No, I won't say that. I get frustrated, and I'm going to be battered here, I know.
Tell me.
But we don't need to empower women very much, okay?
Steve.
Because you're strong. You can do two things at once. Men don't normally, we're not able to do that. But there's you've got gifts. Women have got gifts. They're just so more well organized. They look at things in a different perspective. It's
I agree.
But it's kind of understanding that empowerment type thing. I really and I was put in my place once.
Yeah.
I've got to say.
Yeah.
And I have changed that. Although I voice it, but I was changed it. Some people need that help. Some people need to be empowered.
They do.
And it doesn't matter whether you're a man or a woman. We all need to be empowered sometimes.
Yeah.
So it's great what you're doing. It's moving like crazy.
It is.
With you. What do you do? Tell us a little bit about that.
So I think maybe the opinion or the fact that you thought that way, women don't need more empowerment. Women do have those skills and they're strong, as you said, and I totally agree. In a sense of they just need to start to believe more and vocalize it to be able to, if we're going to talk, for example, get a seat on the table. And it's about those barriers that we keep on bringing up, that no, you deserve to be where you need to be. You deserve all the success that you want. You deserve to have those dreams. It's not about the certain boundaries that you put yourself into or how people see or represent women in a certain manner. It's all about what you think about yourself inside and how you can vocalize it and be confident about it. And I think this is where empowerment comes. It's not about just empowering women and telling them that you're great. It's about how also as men or people from the society can support that, create opportunities if they have the opportunity to do that, open doors for people, have the connection. We were talking about networking before we started this session. How am I able to support these women that I know have those skills to get through that door? This is something that we're working on. This is something that we would love to have.
I kind of now I can see, because we all need this empowerment.
Oh, definitely.
And I'm glad that you've looked up, because when I look at it from a man's perspective, we're all sometimes standing in the shadows, right?
Yeah.
We're all standing in those shadows, and we want to just get our voice out there.
Of course.
But the one things that the kind of things that imposter syndrome.
Oh, yes.
How do you battle that?
Oh, so imposter syndrome has been one of probably the highest topics I look into, especially when working with clients. So I work with both men and women, by the way. I don't work specifically for women. I do emphasize more on women empowerment, but I work with both. And imposter syndrome you'll find it more in women, actually, in men. And the higher the position you go for both, the more you'll have the imposter syndrome.
Oh, wow.
So the higher the leadership position, the higher you're in the ladder within the organization, the more you will have imposter syndrome. And things that can help you to overcome it, first of all, is to always remind yourself of the things that you have accomplished. Because we tend to put what we accomplished on luck, or we tend to put what we accomplished on what others have done for us that helped us, rather than the efforts and the resilience and the patience that got us to where we are. And sometimes even just creating that list and having it right near you when you feel like you're not good enough or you don't deserve the position that you're in, to also remind yourself, no, I did this, I was here, I put myself here, I spoke when I needed to speak, I was confident, I pitched, whatever it is, to remind yourself that you have put in the effort. And it's not just about the luck or the opportunity. It's all combined together that helped you create the success that you are in.
Is it okay to have that feeling? Does that make us a better person? Because I want to feel this myself, because sometimes we all suffer from imposter syndrome. But is it okay to have that feeling because it makes you realize that you want to better yourself constantly?
Definitely. So it's good to have it. So as you said, it's a feeling. So it's not you. I think that's the difference.
Nice.
When you think that imposter syndrome is you, or that you don't deserve it, or that you are not lucky, then it becomes kind of part of your identity. When you say that it's just a feeling, I feel like I'm not deserving, you kind of detach that from yourself, so you're able to kind of work with it. So once you detach it as a feeling, because a feeling you can work on. You can say, for example, okay, I feel down or I feel unmotivated. What can I do about it, and how can I change, or how can I pick myself up? So detaching it from yourself and your identity, I think that's very important. To say that I'm not that, it's part of me, but I'm also part successful, part motivated, part inspirational, part outgoing, and all of that.
How quickly, when you're working with individuals, how quickly do you already make your assumption on how you can help them?
So I don't make assumptions. I have thoughts. And because this is very important, if I make assumptions, that means I'm judging the person in front of me. And this is something that's very important in coaching. I cannot come with a judgmental mind because I'm putting that person in a certain structure that will not help them come out of it or become aware of other opportunities. What I do is I sense certain things that I can reflect back on them. And if that resonates with them, then that would be on them. And then they can continue that road. If it doesn't resonate with them, then we look at different opportunities.
When did these skill sets come to you? Have they always been there with you, or is it just over a period of time?
I think so. Being trained as a coach, and I've been trained by two amazing, wonderful coaches, Marie and Janine from Empower World. I love them, and I still in contact with them. And I think they have supported to give us the base skills of what it means to be a coach. And even for me, I got into coaching not because I wanted to be a coach. I actually just wanted to be better as a person. And when I found kind of like the gap of not having someone that understood the society, the culture, the religion, our background, because that kind of gives a more refined opportunity for you to help that person. So because for me, I wouldn't have to go to someone and explain everything and then they can help me. I kind of took away a long chunk of the information that I need to share with them, and now we can start working. And when I found that gap, I felt like this is something that I really can do, and I found my purpose and my space where I can kind of thrive, and that's how coaching started. And the more you do it, I'm going to say it wasn't easy from the beginning. So I didn't have that skill from the first session, Steve, if you're going to talk about that. I was judging. I was putting myself into like people's emotions. I was taking on what they were feeling.
How much energy were you giving?
Their energy, like I would be drained after every session.
Yeah.
Because I would take up all of that, even though it's not mine. I would take up all of that and I wouldn't have the energy to move on, or I would feel what they feel, and I would, for example, be angry or be mad or be sad on things that are not even related to me.
Yeah.
So even detaching that from yourself is something that's very important as a coach. You give them space, as you said, empathy. You give them space to feel what they need to feel, but not be in a position where you're putting yourself there. Because it's not about you as a coach, it's about the person that's in front of you. And even giving them that space, for example, I've had a lot of clients that would cry. A lot of people would try to empathize and say, here, or there you go. For me, I'm not allowed to do that as a coach because I'm not trying to validate your emotions in a sense of, yes, you're right to feel the way you feel. I'm here to hold the space for you, to feel what you need to feel, and then take away what you need to get out of it. Yeah. Because that also can be a way of judging the person. Oh, you need to be sad, or oh, you need to cry, or yes, that's what you need to do, or should. I hate should. So taking that away helps the person become aware and realize that I felt the way I felt because of 1, 2, 3. This is affecting me. It could be a belief that I have created about myself. It could be limiting me. And all these things that we could work on in a coaching sense.
The energy draining is quite in the beginning when you are helping people. You try to put yourself into their position.
Yeah.
And it just sucks the life out of you.
Oh, definitely.
In all of this, people think it's easy being a coach. Must be.
They do think that. I think they do think that because it's becoming a trend right now. Everyone is a coach. Everyone wants to be a coach. Or you can go online and take a course for an hour and call yourself a life coach or a coach and all of that starts. And I think part of me has worked really hard to make people understand not every coach is a coach. Kind of like every trainer or everything that you do in life, for example. Not every trainer is a trainer. You try to find the person that works for you. And the person that works for you, you are allowed to ask, for example, their certificates, their trainings, what they worked on, anything that would help you feel like you can trust the person. And once you're able to trust the person, they're able to create wonders with you in the coaching.
So is that because I'm trying to help coaches, because when does a coach become a coach?
Yeah.
Is it in the beginning just because they've got the certificates?
Yeah.
Or is it that they need to have some experience as well? And I'm doing this for the best because I want people to understand. There was a situation recently when somebody said there's not very many good mentors in the start, and we're both in this. There's not great mentors in the startup ecosystem.
Yeah.
And I was a little bit put out by that because I thought if somebody's going to be asked to put their time in and to give some type of experience, then that's okay. We should celebrate those people. We shouldn't be looking up and then saying, well, these people are not needed because they're not giving great advice out. I think the most important thing is you stay to your strengths when you're giving that advice out. I don't give financial advice. I don't give any corporate structuring. That's not my thing.
Yeah, definitely.
But I think you've got to stick to your strengths. You've got to have hundreds of strengths to be able to deal on this coaching side, because you've got to see it from all angles and you've got to give the best advice. Responsibility wise, do you feel that?
So I think for me, even though I would have a lot of strengths and I find myself in certain aspects, I know that my strength, for example, is working with people and their mindsets. So this is what I focus on. You'll find coaches that are focused on relationships, and that's their strength. You'll find coaches that are business coaches, for example, and that's their strength. And I think it's important to find your niche, because you can't be everything.
Yeah.
You can't be, for example, as you said, financial mentoring is not your strength, but you know what your strength is.
Yeah.
So how can I emphasize more on that? Because I want the person that's in front of me also to get the value that they're looking for, or that they're paying for if they're coming for a session that's been paid. So even as a responsibility on me as a coach, it's important to know what my strengths are and what my less strength, let's say, opportunities, even though I could be good at certain things, but I'm really great at one thing or two in that manner. And for me, for example, if some people come and I find that they actually need a relationship coach, I would refer them to a relationship coach.
Yeah.
Or that they want a business coach, I would tell them, no, in my network, I actually know 1, 2, 3, you'll find a more value within talking to these people. So this is also important to have that network of not only coaches, but for example, therapists. You'll find people that would want to do coaching, but you understand that it's not coaching that they need. They actually need to speak with a therapist. So you have to also refer them and make sure you have that understanding of where your limit is as a coach,
that's a good one, yeah.
When to refer them to the more specialized people.
It's like, did you ever find it in the beginning hard to ask for money?
Definitely. That's where imposter syndrome came, by the way.
It's tough, right?
It's very tough. It's very tough. So what we did for our certification is that you actually had to do 100 hours before you can apply and get the certification and do the exam and blah, 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 and all of that. So these 100 hours, I was still not, so I took the training, but I wasn't a certified coach. So going to people and tell them that, let's do 1 hour and I want you to pay for me, was kind of like, how can I ask for people and I'm still not there and I need to do more and I need to get the certificate and I can't ask for money. And I would do a lot of pro bono until I sat with my coach and she's like, you need to stop doing that. You actually have skills. It's the value that you give them at the end of the session that they're paying for.
The value.
It's the value. And that's something that's untangible. But once they see the effect on that on their lives, they're going to come back again and again.
Yeah.
And I think just creating that realization as what's the value that I'm bringing when someone comes to me and has that session. It's the realization. It's the mindset that's shifted. It's them becoming more confident in themselves. It's someone telling me I'm finally pursuing my dreams, or I finally did it and thank you. This is the value that you bring. It's a shift in their whole lifestyle. And that's something a lot of people can't put money on it, but it's really valuable. It's really valuable once you create that.
And when you see that value in action, what feeling does it give you?
Oh, you're being coach right now. It makes me feel content. Very content and grateful that I'm able to find that journey. It wasn't easy finding it. I've tried a lot of things, doing marketing, I've done product development, I've done digital experience, but this just hits home, where it's just that connection that you have with someone that you've created that change in their life.
I
That's
say-
something they're going to be forever grateful for.
We've all got the ability to help somebody.
Oh, definitely.
And sometimes it's in a passing moment.
Yeah.
We're lucky, and I wouldn't say that I'm a coach, but we're lucky that we get to talk to people on a regular basis and we see those improvements and we see those life changes that
Yeah.
they go through. It's a wonderful, wonderful feeling.
It's so beautiful.
And I want people to feel that. I want more people to feel that because it's
Yeah.
easy to do. It
Yeah.
really is easy to do. So they've got to go out there and they've got to help others because it's the most simplest thing, but the rewards, oh my word, is unbelievable. Now, nobody else is listening right now, okay? Nobody else, okay? The most important, we talked about business coach, we talked about this. Do you think the mind coach is the most important one out there
For people, you mean?
for people?
I think it is. So if you're going to talk about the mindset, it's literally everything that you're doing in life, right? It's how you perceive yourself. It's how you create your confidence. It's about the thoughts that are in your head. It could be about your health. It could be about your business. It could be about your relationships. So you're kind of tapping into the source of every single thing.
Yeah.
And once you understand, for me, I see the mindset as a miracle. It's one of the miracles that we have.
Yeah.
And we're just tapping, if you're going to talk on average, we're just tapping, if you're a genius, you're tapping to 10% of your ability in your mind.
Incredible, really.
Exactly. So that's you being a genius. So imagine all those opportunities and thoughts that go in your head in
Yeah.
1 second that you can do so much about, that you can release things that do not serve you, for example, your limiting beliefs, and how you can just fill it in with, for example, positive thoughts or ambition or visions of what you have and what you imagine your life is going to be, and how you can support yourself to take yourself on that journey to always be present with
Yeah.
yourself to achieve and understand what goes on here and what goes on in your emotions and your heart and take it on. So if you can solve everything that's going on here,
And discipline, right? Because
definitely.
you've got, I suppose this is an important thing with you. You've got all these things, those flashes coming in and what I can do and all these things. Then it's kind of getting somebody to look at the discipline side of it. What things I can change
Yeah.
the most easiest? What low-hanging fruits can I get to get that feeling
Yeah.
of feeling great so that
Definitely.
empowers me to go and do more? And that must be a difficult thing for you to then kind of get people to believe in themselves and then slow them down to take the steps.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think if you want to kind of understand what coaching is, and I love this picture of someone coming with so many rubbish, tangled thoughts, and the coach just like taking it one by one and creating that clarity.
I love that. That's
for
a
that
great way
person.
of thinking.
And I think that's basically what coaching is. So you can have every single thought, as you said. You're talking about your life in the age that you are in since you were born, all these thoughts and things that came to you, all the outer world that has affected you. It's your upbringing, it's your tradition, it's your culture, it's your religion, it's where you came from, it's how you were raised, it's the environment that you were in. Everything has affected you one way or the other. So being able to come to a certain point to create structure of letting go of what's not serving you,
Yeah.
because it might have served you at one point in your life, but you kind of realize now it's actually limiting you from, for example, taking on a certain opportunity or going for your goals and achievements or success or your vision of what you want your life to look like. And structuring that, as you
Yeah.
said, this is where the discipline comes. So I need to let go of things that are not serving you, serving me, and being okay and healing from that, and looking at what else can help me pick myself back up whenever I need to move on and continue and create that success that I want.
Healing.
Healing.
You
Yes.
just said that word. Powerful words you're saying.
Very, very.
It's okay to heal, right?
Yes, of course. A lot of people think that you have to go through a big incident or trauma to feel like you deserve to be healed. But it could be the certain small aspects on your day-to-day life that sometimes we just need to sit with it, understand our emotion, and learn how to let it go. And that itself is healing. So if someone as ordinary an ordinary life, has lived with, for example, really great parents and has come up with wherever they are in their life right now, sometimes they feel like they don't deserve to look at healing or think about I need to be healed from a certain thing or feel like I don't deserve to see my life less worthy
Yeah.
because other people have it worse than me. But even realizing that and saying things have affected you one way or the other. Every one of us has, by the way, gone through a certain trauma. It could be small, it can be big.
Yeah.
But that trauma, if it's holding me back and I'm still allowing that thing to hold me back rather than keeping me going forward, then I'm trapping myself and I don't want to be healed. But when I allow myself to feel like I deserve to heal from everything that's working, everything that's happening, then I let myself have the opportunity to sit with whatever pain I have been through. And everyone is allowed to feel what they feel. Like, I can't tell you how to feel. I can't tell you if you're sad. No, you're not allowed to be sad by a certain aspect. Or if something made you miserable, you're not allowed to feel like this. Because that means I'm judging you from my own perspective. And I'm not allowed to do that because you're the one that felt that. You're the one that got through the emotion. You're the one that was in that presence. I'm just looking at it from what you're sharing from me.
Yeah.
But allowing yourself just to go through that and processing all of that is 80% of the healing process, by the way.
Yeah, and I look at it, and sometimes it's okay to feel this way also.
Definitely.
It's okay to feel this. It's just knowing when that feeling's upon you and how to deal with it.
Yes.
And how to go in a direction that you're going to get out of it so that you can take those steps going forward. And I suppose that is the biggest message that I give to anybody is just keep on going forward. Don't be standing still.
Yes.
Anytime you stand still, you're moving backwards.
Yeah.
Did you ever think you would be able to get up and do a TED Talk?
No.
Whoa.
I did not. I've always, something that I love to share. When I first wanted to start coaching, when I wanted to do the training, so they actually do an interview with you, and within that interview, they see if you are actually a person that would be fit for this role or not. And I remember those 15 minutes of the interview. It was a call I got, and those 15 minutes was actually a visualization exercise. And at that time, I didn't know that it was coaching, and they were coaching me in that certain aspect and all of that. And Steve, I remember this image vividly, that I was standing on a stage, and I was actually holding my book. And there was like 5,000 to 6,000 people on their feet. It was a standing ovation, and I could see their smiles from ear to ear. And I was just like mesmerized by that thought. And at that time, I didn't know I was going to do a talk. I didn't know I didn't know anything. You're talking about 2017. So this was all before all of this.
Yeah.
And I still have that vision in the paper in my room. And it was that specifically that I could see for myself. And I think maybe that's where the thought started, but I never pursued it in a sense. And then the more I got into coaching, the more I felt like I want to do more. I want my voice to be heard throughout. I want people to see my story as an inspiration for them to be what they want to be and get to where they want to get. And I think one of my friends is the one that said, okay, why don't you do a TED Talk? And when you think about TED Talks, you just think something that's very far. No, it's like TED, you have to be prepared and you have to be someone that everyone knows, or you have to have a certain success for you to go on stage or feel like you deserve to be on stage. But taking that back, I'm like, but I think everyone that has a story deserves to be on that stage, and everyone that has something they could share can be on that stage.
And this is another reason we have the podcast. Everybody's got a story to share.
Definitely.
I'll be honest with you. I wouldn't be able to sleep for a month if I knew that I was going to do a TED Talk. That's the first thing. I would be petrified. One of the couple of things I want to ask, did you wing it, or did you know exactly what you're going to talk about? Were you that prepared, or did you wing to a certain degree?
So I was prepared. I wrote a full-on speech that I practiced a couple of times, but
just a couple?
A couple of times.
Wow.
But for me, I think if you look at me 10 years ago, I would never think that I would be on any stage, let alone a TED stage. Because I felt like I wasn't confident enough to be talking to people and being present to share whatever I wanted to share. But I think building that on, which is something that's helped me also within the coaching, is being able to build that confidence of sharing my own story, vocalizing what I go through as a coach myself, being on social media and being present there, sharing that certain vulnerability aspect. Because once you're able to connect with people on that level, it makes it easy for you to get up on stage and talk.
To be able to talk about your vulnerabilities,
Yeah.
that's even more scary.
Yeah. Imagine having it as a TED Talk. And the thing is, it was part of me that I also never shared a lot with my family. Like seeing that aspect and having my family in the audience and talking about it for the first time, like certain secrets, as we say. But being very open and vulnerable wasn't easy, but I felt so relieved at the end, where I know that a lot of people came to me and they're like, we resonated so much with the story that you shared.
Wow. Yeah.
And we see you, we hear you, and thank you for sharing that. For me, that was the ultimate. Like,
I'm going to get on the next
grateful.
two. Your highlights. Obviously, that was going to be one of your highlights, but have you got any other highlights you can share with us in your life so far?
So I have the TED Talk that I've done, alhamdulillah. I created a community for women. It's called You're Not Alone. So I started that in 2019. And the reason behind that was I was so fed up with very shallow conversations. Let's say that.
Or sometimes it can be difficult conversations, right?
Maybe, yeah. Sometimes it can be difficult conversation, but it was conversations that I wasn't feeling I was intellectual about.
Okay.
It wasn't opening kind of like light bulbs in my head. It wasn't making me think. It was all about this person did. It was about gossip. It was about social life in general, but it wasn't something that I was really like deep conversations. That's what I was missing. Deep connections and conversations. And I felt like I know there are certain women out there that would love these kind of conversations and feel like they're not alone to talk about everything about their lives, like their different roles that they play, the difficulties that they go through, or what works for them,
Yeah.
or even just having that support group, that community that they can connect and collaborate with and have these certain conversations and be vulnerable together. And I think that's what it started. It started with 5 to 6 women, and now it's been 5 years with this community with amazing women that are part of it, that are holding each other accountable, that are connecting on another level. We meet on probably a weekly basis where we discuss certain topics. We do activities together. We let our inner child come out.
Oh, wow.
We have a reading group where we discuss certain books about self-development and all of that. So we have a lot that's going on,
Wow.
but that's one of the accomplishments I love talking about. And
That is amazing.
Thank you.
That really, truly is amazing.
Thank you.
It's like, and I want to get on, you mentioned briefly about your family being in the audience.
Yeah.
They must be ecstatic with what you're doing.
I'm grateful, very grateful. I'm very close with my family. So I have 5 brothers and 1 sister, and I'm really close with my mom and dad as well. And at the beginning, when I wanted to take on the coaching as a profession, it was still something that's pretty brand new, not known. Talking about 2017, it wasn't still picking up as a trend like today. And being a Qatari girl, a young Qatari girl that's going to go out and speak about profession that no one talks about, that no one knows about.
But that's a little scary too. They must have been a little scared.
Exactly.
How
So
is she going to get on?
they were definitely.
Yeah.
They're like, they were very protective.
Yeah.
And I think something that my mom told me at that point, because I wanted to come out on social media, like, and show my face and be there with the people and understand and make people understand what coaching is. And she told me one thing. She's like, this is going to be your decision. It is your responsibility what happens. But are you sure that this is what you want? I told her yes. And she's like, go for it.
What great advice that is.
I
You
know.
can give that to anybody.
I know, right?
And it works, right?
Exactly. And I think just even reflecting on, is this really what I want? And taking that step back and thinking, if it's a yes, and this is why you do what you do, everything becomes easier for you to
But
pursue.
the one thing is, a parent and a grandfather, that advice is the best advice possible.
Yeah.
Because it's making your children or the ones that you love realize the enormity of what steps that you're going to be taking.
Yeah.
You've taken it, and look at you. it's like you've flourished and you've helped other
you.
people flourish,
Thank
which
you.
is more and more important. But for that advice, that advice could go to anybody, but
Anybody.
it's to the daughter.
Yeah.
It's giving you the empowerment to say, I'm with you.
Exactly.
Just
I
be
have your
careful.
back.
Yeah, I've got your back.
Got your back.
But this is a big responsibility.
It is.
You better
It
be
is.
ready. You're
Exactly.
going to need to be ready.
Exactly. I think I needed that.
With all of this, and again, I know, and it's another question that I ask everybody, but I want to know this. What would be the message? And I know that you wrote an article along the similar lines.
Yeah.
What would you tell your 15-year-old self?
Yeah.
The advice. What would you say to that 15-year-old?
So looking at where I am right now, I would actually tell her that it's okay. You will get there. You will find yourself. Just be more gentle with yourself. And I think like at 15, you're trying to figure out everything and trying to fit in and trying to find your group of people. And I think all of that can kind of take away from your confidence and how you present yourself and how you become who you want. And you kind of feel lost. And at that point, I was lost. So I just want to tell her that it works out. It does
Yeah.
work out.
But you're and when, because I've known you for quite some years and I've seen all of your work and I've seen you speak and everything else.
Yeah.
And because of your stature, I've always been it's like I've always been kind of not worthy sometimes where I found it difficult to come up and speak to you. But you've said another key word, gentle.
Yeah.
And that's the one thing I'm feeling with this interview right now, is you've got such a gentle soul.
Thank you.
But this is not an industry to be, you've got to be strong as well.
I am strong. I think a lot of people think my kindness, or sometimes people see kindness as a weakness.
I hate that.
I hate when they say
I
that.
hate it.
And I think we need more gentle people in this world.
Yes, we do.
And being gentle and understanding where you can be gentle and where you can be more firm is a strength.
Yeah.
So to understand the soul that's in front of you, because you are a human at the end. And looking at that from that perspective makes you understand that the person in front of you is probably going through a lot or has done so much to get to where they are. And just appreciating that and being on that level of connection creates so much in that aspect. And I think this is where the gentle aspect comes in. And I would love to continue being that. I wouldn't want to be anything else.
Don't you be anybody else. You just keep
you.
on being yourself.
Thank you.
Book. You're a writer. I love
Yes.
reading. I was stalking you a little on your LinkedIn profile. You could see that I was
Yeah.
stalking you. You're a writer.
Yeah.
Where is that taking you?
Oh, I hope it takes me a lot of places. So I'm supposed to finish my book next month and hopefully have it by beginning of 2025.
Are you on track?
I am on track, yes,
Oh,
finally.
wow.
Finally. And the book is basically, I don't know if I should say about it, but I won't talk about it. I'll
No.
talk about it when it's ready.
Yeah.
But it's been a great journey. And I feel like it's all the thoughts and everything that not only I've been through, but people who I've worked with, stories, success stories, things that happen in the society that really can benefit people to get the best from my coaching is in that book. So be prepared, January 2025, inshallah.
Are you like, I'm trying to ask you now, you've got a month to go.
Yeah.
Are you just kind of so excited about kind of writing it and going back and
Oh my God. I want to finish it today, like now, but like I need to finish the structure and writing it, but I want to see the book come out without everything that's happening.
I
I'm
wouldn't
like,
be here
"Khalas,
doing
yalla, let's go.
I wouldn't be doing this interview now. I'd be there going.
I know. That's me these days, by the way. Everyone's like, you're so busy. I'm like, yes, I'm finishing my book.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
And it's I suppose, is it, which part of the book was the most hardest? Because I think the ending, what's going to be the
boom.
Yeah.
I think so. I had a first draft that was written. I thought that was perfect. And it was from the publisher's perspective. But then they're like, if you look at it from a different perspective, what would that be for you? And I love that because even the publishers come from a coaching perspective. So we kind of connect on that aspect. And they're amazing, amazing ladies. And I think that created a better structure of what's the benefit the reader can get out of the book. So I'm kind of now in the restructuring and trying to structure it in a way that people would really, like from front to end, get everything they need from that book. And the final thoughts are the hardest because I've wrote so much and I feel like I still want to have that motivation and inspiration till the last words rather than feeling like it fades away sometimes. You know what I mean? Like in books, sometimes you read and you feel like it fades away at the end. I don't want that. I still want the end to be like a boom.
It's got to be a boom.
It has to be a boom. So yes, I'm working really hard on that.
And I do want to ask you, because I love, and I've said this before with other guests, but I really want to thank people that's been your inspirations. Who have they been?
Wow, that's a good question. I think my mother, one of them, and I already shared that story. I learn a lot from her resilience, her patience, being dedicated for something, and knowing her purpose is in that aspect and that line makes me more connected with my purpose. And I'm forever grateful for her. I would love to thank my second grade teacher. That's some.
Oh, wow. Good one.
It's a good one. Why? Because I remember at that time, this is where I started loving reading books and actually writing. That's where I started, even though I didn't think I was a writer before. And she told me one thing, and I even put that as a dedication in my book. She told me, "You're a star." Never forget that. And I think being at that young age, I might not find or understand what that really meant, but it created so much of a difference in my life. Even when I felt down, that word just pops up again. Whenever I feel like I'm not motivated, that word just pops up again. I'm like, no, there's so much inside of you that you want to share with the world. So you are that star. See how you can shine and be proud of that. So that's something I will never forget.
Do you enjoy your weekends?
So I try to.
You can't have weekends.
I cannot have. You're a business person. You're an entrepreneur.
You
your
can't
whole
have
life, you're
weekends.
dedicated, right? But you love it.
Oh, God.
You love it, right? So
It's my life, right?
Exactly. So I'm never complaining. I love giving and doing and making sure I reach the success that I know I can get to, and helping people, because it's not about just having a business for the sake of doing business. You know that you're changing people's lives. It's a responsibility, but it's such a reward at the end. So I would do anything to help those people.
And you are changing lives.
Thank you.
I don't know of any other better way of finishing this podcast to say to you, you are a star.
Thank you so much, Steve.
Thank you so much for coming on our podcast.
Thank you for having me.
You
Really
are
appreciate
one
it.
special individual, and I'm feeling blessed to have had this conversation with you. But I'm also feeling good because I know you, and I also see the work that you do with others.
Yeah.
You keep on doing it.
Thank you.
Because you've got some special gifts.
Thank you so much. Really appreciate it.
Thank you so much indeed. On this note, I'm thanking my guests. I also want to thank Workington, because without them, they're the ones that empower us to be able to do these podcasts. And I'm forever grateful for their help and their support. I also want to say to you, I say it every single time, you've got the ability to do whatever you want. The only person that's stopping you in this world is you. Okay? But learn all of these things. This was a magnificent podcast for you to listen to today and put into action. That's all you've got to do. It's that simple. I know we've got tough times in our lives, and we're going to always have tough times in our lives. It's how we deal with them and we take those steps. Keep on taking those steps forward. Thank you so much for listening to this podcast this week. And again, thank you to our guest. You're magnificent.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. See you next week.